Hey, what's up guys? Tyler here with Secureteam. We have some amazing new images to share with you guys, which contain sets of what look like vehicle tracks of some sort that were captured by the lunar orbiter in 1967, a full 3 years before any known object had ever landed on the moon. The very first Russian, or shall we say Soviet Union, rover to land on the moon was through the Luna 17 spacecraft, which carried what was called the Lunokhod 1, which landed on the moon in 1970, a full 3 years later after these orbiter images were captured. The Lunokhod 1 was the very first polycrystalline panel powered of 2 unmanned lunar rovers that landed on the moon by the Soviet Union as part of its Lunokhod program after the previous unsuccessful attempt of a launch probe with Lunokhod 0 in 1969. So we have Lunokhod 1 and Lunokhod 2, first 2 rovers, on the moon a full 3 and 6 years from when these images were taken, respectively. The next rover to be on the moon was the Apollo Lunar Roving Vehicle, which was a battery-powered 4-wheeled rover used on the moon during the last 3 missions of the American Apollo program, missions 15, 16, and 17 during 1971 and 1972. The U-2 is the Chinese rover, which launched on December 1st, 2013 and landed on December 14th. So you can definitely see that all of these rovers were launched years after the date with which these Apollo orbiter were taken, once again in 1967. So we'll zoom in here on these tracks and you can see that they are without a doubt tracks, and they are not the first set of tracks to be seen on the moon in lunar orbiter images. There are many sets of tracks, many of which are actually rolling uphill, rolling down into craters, very steep craters, which then roll back up and out of the craters. There is no doubt in our minds that there is alien activity going on the moon, or quite possibly human activity. However, with all of the moon analysis that we've done over the years, and believe me, when it comes to alien activity on the moon, you will find no better source than that of Secureteam. I have done countless upon countless of videos, many of which I will put down in the video description depicting these anomalous structures on the moon. There have been domes found on the moon, which you can see here. This is a glass dome that was captured from an orbiter imaging the moon. The glass dome, you can see the giant glass dome coming up, doming over the top of the crater and going back down. It is also said that there are streams and lakes inside of this crater which are being protected by this likely radiation shielded dome, which you can actually see when you zoom in on the picture with the blue coloring. And this is the Kopff crater. That's Kopff, and it is 14 kilometers in diameter. The dome looks to be tinted, likely to prevent the radiation and sunlight to get in. However, you can see the large reflection of sunlight on the right side of the crater here. Here's another image snapped during the Apollo and orbiter missions of another one of these glass domes inside of a crater. This is a very clear as day image of one of these glass domes. And we found that there are domes that tower over a crater, completely covering the crater and the structures within. And then there are other domes that stay within the crater, like this one here. Many of them which are hard to see because over time they get covered up by lunar dust. So this dome which you're seeing right here could likely be newly created or is simply not covered enough by the lunar dust to avoid detection. And lastly, we have this last dome here, which is unmistakable, taken during the Apollo moon missions. It's enhanced, you can see it right there. Another wonderful image that I want to show you guys that you've likely seen before, but I think is worth showing, is the attempts that NASA has gone through to airbrush out the structures on the moon, as seen in this image here, which is enhanced. You can tell here, this is a very famous photo and shows the depth that NASA will go to, although obvious, to hide these structures. But what do they care? Because there's nothing we can do to prove that they did it. Although the proof is in the pudding, it's right in front of our eyes. However, the one thing I don't think they did count on was to have channels like ours out here exposing them. So once again, tracks on the moon found an entire 3 years before we had been there. Think about that. So something is up there, guys. There are vehicles up there. There are crafts up there. There are aliens up there. Make no mistake about that. And for all of those who might ask, although I've explained this on other videos, do I think that we went to the moon? Yes, I do. Now, you may have seen our past videos showing moon fakery at the hands of NASA. There is no doubt that NASA has faked large pieces of footage from the Apollo moon landings. However, there is much footage that is legitimate, that you can look up for yourself, and that does show their ascent and descent to the moon's surface. However, there is no doubt that there were things on the moon while they were there that they could not show the public, that they could not show the footage of, and of footage that they had to recreate here on Earth. And some of that footage, sadly, is mixed in with the legitimate video. Several Apollo astronauts have already come out and confirmed that they saw alien activity going on the moon and above the moon. The information is out there. So once again, an amazing find, tracks on the moon. Be sure to share this video, subscribe and share if you like the work we do, and be sure to check back for much, much more. Stay safe, guys.